We're back. It's time for the 2024 Urban NerdCon. Join us in Atlanta, Georgia, April 26th through the 28th at the Cortland Grand Hotel. Special guests include Underworld creator Kevin Grievous, Gary Gray from Fairly Odd Parents, from Nickelodeon, Giovanni Samuels, the Science Machine Michael Green, the Sci-Fi Sisters, and from Spaceballs and Star Trek Voyager, Tim Russ.
Hi, I'm Tim Russ. Join me April 26th through the 28th at the Cortland Grand Hotel in Atlanta, Georgia for the Urban NerdCon. Our heroes, our villains, our stories, everyone con. I'll see you there. Live long and prosper.
Visit theurbannerdcon.net to get your buy one, get one free badges before the price increases. Remember, our heroes, our villains, our stories, everyone's con. See you there.
A pleasant good morning to everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Carlos Brown Show right here on the Black College Sports Network. Yours truly here, Carlos Brown. Guest menu today, our usual guest, Charles Edmond, Coach Vann Pettaway. Very special guest, Coach Kevin Johnson, joins us in hour number 2. And in hour number 1, A.D. Willa Brown. Here's simply what's trending on today's show. SWAC basketball champions crowned. Since the last time we talked to you, the SWAC crowned both men's and women's tournament basketball champions. Also, HBCU's basketball postseason has started. We'll give you the latest on the games and the scores. Also was trending, Alabama A&M and FAMU. Alabama A&M on the women's side, FAMU on the men's side, seeks to hire new basketball coaches. That's what's trending on today's show. Now we'll bring in our panel. And as always, we look forward to interacting with them. Charles Edmond of the Alcorn State Radio Network. Charles, good morning to you. Happy Saturday.
Good morning.
And good morning. And there's Coach Vann Pettaway, our basketball analyst. And I definitely want to hear from him today because, Charles, I don't know how many of you on the panel participate in the March Madness bracket. But I've learned a few years ago to just tear it up after day one.
Yep.
Brian Fulford is producing today's show. Talking with him before the show started. Boy, those brackets. That's why it's called March Madness. And it is maddening. It is simply maddening. But I do pull for all of the underdogs, and I think most of America does. And we have some upsets already, and I think we'll have more to come. But let's get into it. Women's SWAC tournament basketball champions. Charles, I thought you gave Alcorn a slight chance that they could get it done. It was not the case. Jackson State came out ripping and roaring, and I just personally think the defeat last year in the semifinals, they were ready and they were not going to be denied. undefeated in conference. They get it done. Congratulations to Jackson State, 2024 basketball tournament champions. Now, on the men's side, I have to eat crow. But, sometimes it's good to eat a little crow. I picked Texas Southern. I was like, you can't bet against Johnny Jones. And then you guys told me about the injury to Texas Southern. I thought they can overcome that. But Grambling State, congratulations to the men's basketball team 2024 tournament championships. Thus, that catapulted them into NCAA regional, and we'll kind of get into all that. But I just kind of wanted to start the show off. Congratulations to both Jackson State women basketball team and Grambling State men's basketball team. Coach Pettaway and Charles, your thoughts?
Well, Charles, I thought that in the women's game, I thought that once Brown got in foul trouble, that spelled doom for Alcorn because she could have made the game closer, but she spent so much time on the bench because of foul trouble. Mm-hmm. But I just felt like Jackson State was just so deep that attrition would take over. Their depth would wear Alcorn down, and I think that's what happened. I thought that the Lady Braves, they showed up for that tournament. They were committed. They played well. They were the Cinderella team. But when it comes to Jackson State, I just felt like they just had a little bit too much in the tank.
Yeah, Charles, hey, congratulations to Alcorn State as well. A terrific run.
Yeah, I mean, look, congratulations to the Lady Braves. Again, nobody thought they would even make the top 8. Nobody thought they would beat Southern. Nobody thought they would beat Grambling. And we went up against the giant in Jackson State. When you look at the championship game, all the things that got us to the championship game went against us. We didn't get off to good starts. We turned the ball over. Jackson just implored their will. You got Angel Jackson, of course. Who was the tournament MVP there. Their great shooter that they had, Edmond. I mean, she was terrific. I mean, she gets them going. She pulls the defense out on the perimeter. They get it inside. So Jackson State was just a deeper team. We were only playing maybe 8 players, and even though coaches say you only play 7 or 8 anyway, that's all we had on the bench. Janae Anderson got in the game late. She hardly plays. But congratulations to Jackson State. I mean, they clearly – they avenged what happened last year, and they went through that run. They went through a tough tournament, and look, they got what they earned. They earned this championship, and now they're going to go up against a big time opponent in UConn and Storrs, Connecticut, a sold out building. It's going to be a tough one for Jackson State, but they're deep. UConn's not. Does that make a difference? I guess we can talk about that. But congratulations, Jackson State. The question came in. Yes, I did have the Lady Braves. I just thought they were playing with so much confidence. They're playing with such a renewed sense of vigor. I thought maybe they could catch Jackson State a little sideways. Didn't happen. Congratulations, Jackson State.
Yeah, and I kind of talked last week. They've been very consistent. They, meaning Jackson State, they were the better team. They were the most consistent, depth. All of those attributes. A good big man, excuse the pun, beats a little man most of the time when all things being equal. But again, Alcorn State, a terrific run. And at about 12 Central Standard Time, Jackson State takes on UConn on ABC. On the men's side, and by the way, 68-44, Jackson State over Alcorn State. On the men's side, Grambling State over Texas Southern, 75-66. Grambling State, to me, won it in the first half, up by 17 at the half, 41-24. Texas Southern outscores Grambling by 8 in the second half, but 75-66. And, of course, Texas Southern goes on to postseason play, and Grambling State goes on to postseason play, and we'll talk about that. But let's do this. Let's take a timeout. When we come back, you're watching the Carlos Brown Show right here on the Black College Sports Network. We'll return in one moment.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties. Through its programs, Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentjax.
The human voice has always connected audiences with experiences. Major brands all across America have trusted Kever's voice time and time again. Conversational, powerhouse, intelligent, and sincere. That's the voice you need for your creative marketing process. KEAVERSVOICE.com. Kever's Voice, Kever's Voice, KeversVoice.com. Always on, all the time.
Nope. Nope.
Come on, him?
Ooh, I like him.
Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up messes quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less.
He's an 8.
He's a 9.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
Welcome back to this week's edition of the Carlos Brown Show right here on the Black College Sports Network. Now joined by A.D. Wheeler Brown. Good afternoon to you, sir.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, gentlemen. You guys looking at one of the Crow brothers here also. Yeah. But I'll own up to it. I'll take it like a man.
Yeah, I think it was me and you, Wheeler. Specifically picked Texas Southern in our predictions against Grambling State. So I guess we'll be the Crow brothers for today. Good morning to everyone in the chat room as well. Charles, I think, let's see. Mr. Carey says somebody on this panel predicted Alcorn State women would upset the JSU Lady Tigers in the SWAC title game. Yeah.
I did.
Yep. And that's a good thing. We always own up to when we are wrong. Well, before the first time out, we were kind of congratulating, Grambling State and Jackson State winning tournament championships. Now they progress on to postseason. For Grambling State in the play-in game, they defeated Montana State 88-81 to advance to the number 1 seed in Purdue. And that game, well, first of all, congratulations to Grambling State for winning that play-in. That's always has been tough from a traditional standpoint for the conference. They've had some wins, but Grambling State, physically tough, mentally tough. Coach Jackson, outstanding job making adjustments, 88-81. Going up against Purdue, you knew it was going to be tough. And boy, for the first half, Grambling State right there being physical, playing, but the big 7'4" center. You saw what Purdue was going to do. It was just feed him. And Grambling State post players just got in trouble. But I think there's a recipe for others that Purdue can be taken down. And I predict they won't get to the Final Four. That's it for my predictions on the men's side. But Grambling State, hey, 78-50, they lose to Purdue. But Grambling State, terrific season. But once again, some coaches prefer the play-in game. Some still talk about how can they get a higher seed. Now, let me stop right there. Jackson State women and Coach Reed, they thought they deserved a higher seeding. What say you, panel?
I'll start. I understand Coach Reed's comments, and she probably was thinking 18-0. She's thinking go through the tournament, 21 straight. Committee looks at that and goes, "Wow, let's give them an 11 seed or 12 seed." Unfortunately, it's a little bit more to it than that. It requires you to do some things in non-conference, and it also requires the rest of this conference to have some solid wins to elevate that situation. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. Now, I don't know if Coach Reed is uninformed or misinformed. I know that they have a great administrative staff there at Jackson State that would probably let her know how those things go and flow. And maybe she just doesn't know. But you knew that probably wasn't going to happen on 11 or 12. I've said at the very least, at the very best, a 14 maybe. But I knew it probably wouldn't be a 16, but I probably thought it would be a 15 or 14. And that's exactly what happened. And, I get it. And she's advocating for her team, but it requires a little bit more to it than that. But nonetheless, at this point, you've got to go in there and you got to go to Storrs, Connecticut, a sold out building, and you got to take that crowd out of it early. The first 5 or 6 or 7 minutes, that first media timeout, you better be with it. You better be locked in because UConn's going to try to run them out of the building early. And so if Jackson State can hit some shots, if Avent can get going, they get Angel Jackson going, they can't turn the basketball over. They miss free throws against us in the championship. All the things that, even though they were dominant against us, but some of those negatives that were there against us, that can't happen against UConn because they're undermanned. They only got about 8 players. I think they had 5 players. They lost season-ending injuries. They're very thin. But you look at it, Coach Pettaway, the 8 that they have compared to the 13 or 14 that Jackson State has, how do you make that comparison? But I think Jackson got to stay with it, got to stay focused, got to stay locked in if they want to have a chance.
Right. Going in as a 14 seed was probably the best they were going to get because they do look at the non-conference. And then here's the other piece to that. They look at the overall ranking of your conference. And see, Jackson did well and a couple of other teams did well, but the entire ranking for the SWAC conference, that comes into play. Both on the men and women's side. But had they had an opportunity to go anywhere but to Connecticut, they would probably feel better. But going into that place, that's going to be a hostile environment. And Charles, I agree with you. They got to get off to a good start because Connecticut feeds off the energy of their crowd. And those people are used to winning. so they know what to do, and they're going to be after Jackson State. They're going to do everything they can to rattle them to help Gino, because this is a short bench for Connecticut. But now you got to remember this. Now he has a very talented 5 now. You know, you're talking about All-Americans and that kind of thing. So Jackson's just got to go in there and play lights out. But if they can get off to a good start, I think they can put some pressure on UConn, because they have been had this year, and they're not as deep. But Jackson State has to use their entire bench. Jackson State has to get off to a good start. I'm sorry, Willa, go ahead, man.
That's okay. I think Coach Reed is running off of emotions,
Right.
you know, and, you know, not faulting her for, you know, wanting to advocate for, you know, her team, that sort of thing. But as you guys just eloquently stated, you know, it's not about her resume. It's about the resume of the entire conference,
Yeah.
you know, that's going to be the major decision maker in terms of, you know, where they're going to be seated, that sort of thing. But, you know, we give her credit, you know, for the job well done. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about that. Connecticut's not going to take them lightly today. You know, I mean, I don't think there's any doubt about that. They're going to come out of there horns blazing and, you know, looking to get after it right away. And, you know, if Jackson State can hang around, well, they're going to have to hang around, you know, for 40 minutes and not for 37 or 36 or what have you. You know, they're going to have to, you know, stay the whole time in order to, you know, possibly have a chance. But my thing is, Carlos, as you're looking over everything, and I'm looking at it from an administrative point of view. When I see schools with budgets that's not as great as other schools, but they're in the hunt, you know, like Alcorn's girls, that sort of thing. You know, from my point of view, I want to know how they do it. You know, I want to know, you know, what kind of formula the coach has. You know, obviously he's, you know, doing, or she's doing some things correctly in terms of recruiting and things of that nature, you know, to be able to get it done with less money and less resources, you know, and to be in the conversation every year. You know, so if I'm one of these other schools, I'm not going to call any names, that's not in the hunt every year, you know, and my budget is larger, my resources are greater, you know, than some of these other schools that are in the hunt every year, then, you know, the common denominator's got to be something. You know, so I got to look and find out and try to dissect some things to see if there's some things I can do within my program in order to get into the conversation every year. You know, obviously, you know, as Alcorn has you know, demonstrated, it's not just dollars and cents. You know, it's some other things in play that's helping them get over the hump. You know, whether it's coaching, whether it's, you know, recruiting, what have you, you know, in order to be in a conversation every year with the resources that they are working with, you know, something else has to be in the play. And from an administrative point of view, I want to find those things out. My coach needs to find those things out, you know, so maybe we can tweak some things that we're doing to see if it will help us get over the hump.
Well, I think you do. I think you do that every year, and I guess you're specifically talking about teams in the conference, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Well,
yes.
You know, not trying to throw any shade, but Alcorn State women caught lightning in a bottle this year. They've had their shortcomings. They did well. They did well this year, but if you look at a 4 or 5 year period, let's just be honest, Coach Gilbert, there was talk about, well, maybe we need to make some changes. Now, they probably won't. Not coming off of after this season. Yeah. So I just kind of want to throw that out there. Go ahead, Charles.
Yeah, it's still yet to be determined in terms of Coach Gilbert's status. Their contracts end at the end of this month. All our contracts kind of run concurrent with the month that the season's end.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end next week, within the next week, we'll know what his status is based on what I've been told, based on some of the president's comments, even to Coach Kilbert that Kilbert's mentioned to me. It appears as if he'll get some sort of extension, maybe a year, maybe two. I don't know what that looks like. Our president is now the president. Just a couple of days ago, he was named as the permanent president. So he's got a lot more latitude to do some things. And so we'll see how that looks. I'll just say this in terms of just being around Coach Kilbert in the program from day one. You know, he made the tournament in year one. This is the end of his fourth season. Last 2 years, we've let games slip away. Yes, this year we caught lightning in a bottle the last half of the season. But I think you look at some of the other things, the way that Coach Kilbert cares about his players. Now, I've heard stories of coaches just going at their players and just all kinds of stuff. You hear those horror stories. But you being around Nate Kilbert, Lisa Powell, and that staff, they genuinely care about those kids, you know, off the court. And I think that love and that care, yes, he's tough on them on the court, but he has that love and respect for them and whatever they've got going on. And I think that helps. That helps tremendously in terms of wanting to play for that coach. They eat well, they travel well, they stay in good hotels. I mean, I'm with them. I'm seeing this, you know, with my own 4 eyes. And I think that helps a lot. Now, I will say the transfer portal also helps and hurts a lot. The transfer portal giveth and taketh away. And so now, I mean, you've got over 400 players in the transfer portal in the first, 500 in the first 5 days of the window. You can improve your talent, or you can lose some talent like our men have done and like Jackson State's men have done. So if we can continue to build, we got 8 seniors. You got a COVID year that some of these kids have to think about now. This is the last year of COVID. And as Nate Kilbert mentioned, if you were in school during COVID, you got a COVID year. So now you got some kids have some decisions to make whether they want to take the COVID year, run it back as far as the Lady Braves are concerned, or whether they want to move on to something else and do whatever it is off the court they would like to do. But I think for Alcorn, I think this was a great foundation going forward. You got Destiny Brown, got to re-recruit, and I think Coach Pettaway with this portal, you got to re-recruit players every year. You got to re-recruit. And so Coach Kilbert's got to do this next week. His sister's funeral is coming up today. And so next week he'll be back at it, and he's got to re-recruit these kids and say, hey, let's run this thing back. And so, you know, I think that's one of the reasons why this year we just caught lightning in a bottle, got hot, and then the tournament, all the numbers, we couldn't hit free throws during the regular season. We hit free throws in the tournament. That's the reason why we got to the championship game. We made shots. Tajane Wright hit the shot against Grambling. She had struggled with her shot. So I just think we just got hot at precisely the right time. We shocked some people and we surprised some people. And that's what March Madness is all about. You see the SEC is 1-5 in the NCAA tournament. Everybody thought their commissioner was complaining, and now his team's 1-5. So look, it's just what it is. And when you get hot in March at precisely the right time, I think good things can happen. And I think Grambling had some really good wins. But I'm going to say this, Carlos, Grambling had some really good losses. That loss to Alabama State at the end of the regular season double overtime, I think from a coach's standpoint, Coach Pettaway, sometimes you get knocked upside the head late in the season to make you realize, hey, we ain't all that. We got to get back to work. And I think that helped Grambling. No P.J. Henry or limited P.J. Henry helped them too. And so I just think there's a lot of things in the bag now that you got to think about, you got to look at, and you see teams on the ascend. And I think the Lady Braves, if they can keep the band together, I think the Lady Braves will be better than what they were this past season.
Right. So, it would not surprise me if people don't come after Destiny Brown. And Charles, if you remember, when they came to Huntsville, I told you that girl was special. She can do a lot of things on the floor, man. She can play multiple positions, and she has a high basketball IQ. I love watching her play, man. I thoroughly enjoyed the game, Carlos, when they came to Huntsville, and then as I saw Alcorn during the rest of the season, man, she's a special player, and I think she's one of the people that this portal, I think it could hurt Alcorn. I think it could hurt Alcorn. Well, it could hurt a lot of schools, but she is a very important piece to the Alcorn Braves puzzle. And if they lose her, that's going to really hurt.
Well, and good comments. Let's just get to it. I think, just my opinion, I think he gets an extension. He's back next year. You look at
he should.
all the circumstances, all the intangibles. Now, we're not going to
all the injuries they had this year. He should get an extension. You look at the injuries; they didn't have a full squad.
I agree.
That could have been to me, they exceeded their expectations with the number of kids that they had available. That's what I'm saying. And I think had he had some of those young ladies who were injured, I think from start to finish, this would have been a better team.
Now,
they need to take that into consideration.
Yeah, but the question is, I think we're all in agreement that extension is in half Alcorn State. But now, how many years? How many years?
That's the key. That's the key.
Now, let me just say about that.
That's the key. And I think you take into consideration the entire body of work. I mean, there's no doubt about that, but we are what have you done lately type of society. So let's not discount that either. So it's all a matter of how many years they want to give them. Is it just one? Is it two? That sort of thing. And, but you do take into account the entire body of work, not just this past year.
Right. Yeah, I say two. They should at least give him two. I think they should give him two.
Yeah, because I was about to say, wait a minute. If there was another team in this conference, if they said 1 year extension, oh my, it's in an uproar. Coach Pettaway.
Hey, look, nobody wants that 1 year now because you can't recruit like that.
I mean, it make you a lame duck. You right, Coach Pettaway. No doubt about that.
Pieces on that road, man. You come up with a 1 year extension.
That's
all you got left. They will tear you up, man.
Who says recruiting is not a tough business? They'll use everything in their arsenal. But I say 2 years. Well, let's see. Alcorn's on the clock. Administration. Let's see how many years they get. For Grambling State, we could throw out the same thing. Coach Jackson's done a great job. They won their play-in game. They lost to Purdue. Dr. Scott, is there going to be a extension at hand for Coach Jackson? And guess what? You can't be no 1 year. We're talking about multiple years. Oh, boy. Now, I don't know about 4 or 5 year extension because wait a minute, Willa, I'm not understanding that. but you remember one time we can always look at a lesson. Southern University, Coach Spivey, Coach Pettaway, you know him well. Did very well, and Southern administration say, let's roll it over 4 years. Didn't have a winning record.
Never heard from him again.
And then now you're stuck with that rollover. So I think you got to kind of have a good balance with that. But anyway, with Coach Jackson, an extension, a huge extension.
Yes.
But he just got one. But you know what? Now he just got one last year. Remember?
Yeah, but after this success, do you sweeten it up, Coach Pettaway?
I think this is where your bonuses come in the play.
That's what I'm talking about. Right there.
See, like if his people,
right there.
If they did it right, he should have had bonuses. That will carry him because if I'm not mistaken, they just gave him a new contract last year. So
a bonus, yeah.
Yeah, so now your bonuses kick in, and then I think the number of years that he's got left, he will probably be happy with that. You don't get a new contract every time you win a championship. That's not. At least they didn't do it at A&M. what you got was bonuses. You know, that when you win a championship,
I'll take
that was already written into the contract. You know, some other incentives that are in your contract will kick in, and you have a pretty good payday. But I don't think at this point that they probably going to extend him right now.
I would take a bonus over extension to me. Not just me. Give me something in my pocket, because, you know, extension, that feels good. But if it doesn't come with a bonus, then
bonus for me and the staff. Yeah, you and the staff. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
You're right, Coach Pettaway.
Well, I mean, you have to look at. You have to.
Can you get, okay, for example, if he's got a 4-year contract that he just signed last year, he's a year into it, so he's got 3 years left. Do you extend that to where you refresh the contract to a 4-year contract with the bonuses in there? So he's got 4 years. Is that a business applicable model?
I think you just go ahead and do the bonus and call it a day. You know, I mean, it's you know, where is he going? This is my thing. Where is he going? Are folk knocking down the door? Are folk knocking down the door for his services? You know, that sort of thing. And I'm looking at it from an administrative point of view now. You know, so I think I expressed my gratitude and my love for Coach, you know, through the dollar signs. You know, so I take care of him and his staff. You know, and you know, we look forward to the next year and moving forward from there. Yeah, but like somebody just said, I'm not going to look at extending a contract each and every time. You know, he go to the championship game for the next 3 years. What I'm gonna do? Tear up the old one and give him 3 more? You know, before I know it, I've given him a 10-year deal. You know, he's gotten fat and lazy. You know, and you know, we're going downhill. So I mean, I still have to be able to provide some motivation for him to continue, you know, where he is and keep that level where it needs to be. You know, and so, you know, if I reward him short term, you know, then we let the long distance stuff take care of itself as we approach that particular area. But I'm keeping my ear to the grindstone, you know. So if I'm hearing any rumblings or anything like that, you know, somebody's possibly looking at him, you know, so forth and so on. You know, I gotta have my contingency plans in place. You know, so I got that short list ready. You know, and you know, we just looking for any eventuality, you know, to be able to handle whatever it is that may come up. But I'm not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater and say every time he goes to the championship game, I'm going to tack 3 years on to what he has, or I'm going to tear up the contract that he has and give him something brand new. No, I'm paying you to win championships. That's what the job entails. That's why you got the job in the first place, because I see that you have the wherewithal to be able to get us to the level that I need for you to be. Now, I'm going to reward you for getting us there, you know, but I mean, after that, Carlos, I ain't going above and beyond. You know, we're gonna kind of leave it. We're gonna kind of leave it at that. I'm gonna take care of you. You know I love you. You know, I'm gonna take care of you. You know, but I mean, I'm not gonna go overboard with this thing. You know, by any means. That's just my tack. I know it's being mean or cruel or what have you, but
it's business.
I mean, I gotta look out the entire picture.
Oh, you're just a hardliner, Wheeler. That's all right.
You know what, though, A.D. Wheeler, to me, to be honest, if it were me, I would prefer the bonus. If I just signed for 4 years last year, the bonus would be more important to me right now. And then let me just clear up something. Where is he going? He's got a choice. I know at least 2 schools that want Dante right now. Okay? I know at least 2 schools that want Dante right now. So he is he's trending up now. He's trending.
Yeah.
So Grambling, they got to be on their P's and Q's.
Mhm.
You just sign that contract. Just make sure that those bonuses come through. Because as a coach, we look at all of that.
Yeah.
Right.
But like I said, if I just did a 4-year, Carlos, I just want to give me the bonuses.
Yeah.
Well, for me, guys, I always look at, when I look at leadership, I look at how do you handle things when they're not going well. Okay. So if you just go back, remember, and I'm always going to say this about Coach Jackson as well as Roman Banks, when things weren't going well, and I know, Carlos, you and I could disagree on the fact he's got a staff to handle all that compliance stuff. But Dante Jackson and the Grambling Tigers won a SWAC regular season title in a year they were ineligible to go to the SWAC tournament.
Right.
They went to Alabama State and A&M and won those 2 games to win the regular season. Now, they could have packed it in and like, we're not going to the tournament. Who cares? Well, they cared. And I think, to me, from that year on, I think Dante Jackson and that program was ascending. Last year, they would have been the number 1 seed last year going into the tournament, but Alcorn won at Grambling 2 years ago in the final 10 seconds. That's how the Braves got the 1 seed and Grambling got the 2. Dante Jackson told me at the SWAC tournament during the little practice session that they had at the arena, they said, we don't want to share a thing. We wanted to win the thing outright, and they did. And I think they had some good wins. I think they had some good losses. I think they were humbled at times, and you got to have that. A&M humbled them at home. Pine Bluff humbled them at home. They went to New Jersey and beat Jackson, then busted from New Orleans to Alcorn and won that game, probably the most impressive win that they had. They had 2 come-from-behind wins over Southern University. So they went through the ups and downs, the bumps in the road, the ebbs and the flows. And even against Montana State, they were down 14.
Yeah.
So that's Grambling basketball, at least this season. Now, they were going up against a monster in Purdue. There's no doubt about that. And that was going to be tough. But at halftime was a 4-point game? And they broke it open in the middle part of the second half. But, Grambling, they're ascending. Coach Jackson is ascending. And Dr. Scott's got to figure out a way. As Wheeler Brown said, from an administrative standpoint, you got to take care of them as best as you can. But as Coach Pettaway said, when you're winning, people are going to come after you. There's already one opening in this conference on the men's side. Hey, you just never know what goes on behind the scenes with these things.
Well, let's just put it this way. No doubt. I think everybody's in agreement. Bonus, that's how you take care of your coaches that have done an outstanding job. And then also, to me, just my opinion, if he gets a better offer and he goes on to a better thing, he has left that program in better shape than he found it. So, and I think that would be a prideful thing if the guy that you chose to lead your program and he's gone on to do, to a better situation for him and his family, you're proud.
Carlos, I will use this as an example. Tamika Reed should be gone, but she's still there.
Because she wants to be there.
For whatever reason.
She loves
it. For whatever reason.
Yeah.
But she's still there. So, I mean, we can kind of toss that up and mix and match it, that sort of thing. But I guarantee you, if there was an outstanding offer out there, maybe she's not there.
Right.
So you got to look at those things kind of both ways. Yes, she wants to be at Jackson State. She loves Jackson State. But I think she loves Jackson State because nobody has made her an offer she can't refuse. And I think that's the difference right there. When the big dogs come knocking, okay, it's hard to say I'm going to stay here on this side of the fence, with these puppies, that sort of thing. When the big dogs are after you, okay, and they putting that pressure on you monetarily and otherwise, then, it kind of forces you to kind of look at things from a reality point of view. Yeah, I love y'all and all this sort of thing and stuff, but, I got to take care of this, that, and the other, that sort of thing. So I got to make a
Mm-hmm.
decision accordingly. So I think it's more in that line than it is anything else. But she should be gone from Jackson State, no
But
doubt
Willie,
about it.
here's the thing. I don't think she has to rush into anything because Jackson State is taking care of her. She's doing well. Tamika Reed is one of the highest paid, is probably the highest paid HBCU women's coach. In fact, she's making more than some of the men in the SWAC. Okay, so she doesn't have to rush. She does not have to rush now because she is making she has a great contract at Jackson State. So she can take her time and pick and choose.
And coach, when and if she decides to leave, she don't owe anybody anything.
Right.
Anything. She's done an outstanding job.
Right.
So,
well, I'll say this. Don't
alrighty,
take too long.
hardliner. Okay, hardliner.
It ebbs and flows. We all know, like I just said, it's a "what have you done for us lately" type thing.
Right.
And if she goes in the tank, God forbid it doesn't happen. A couple years they're not up where they are right now. Then the luster goes off that shine. Then she right back in the boat. With the rest of us common folk, in terms of scratching and clawing, that sort of thing. So, sometimes, Carlos, you got to look to strike when the iron's hot, because you don't know how long that fire is going to be hot. It's going to die down at some point in time. It just has to. That's just the way things go. So
Charles,
you have to make sure that you're playing your hand accordingly.
Right. See, Charles, when you look at their roster, what do they have? Like 8 seniors? And see, are those, are they in their COVID year? I think some of those ladies are in their COVID year. So in terms of the depth that they've had over the years, that won't be the same next year. That will not be the same next year. So AD Brown, you're right. You can't stay too long now, because eventually it'll change.
Well, I'm not trying to count Coach Reed's money, but if that post that Dr. Seville posted, if that salary is what it is, man, you got to look at if it's $300,000, you got to look at these mid majors. How much are they paying? And so, she's probably got some offers. She's got it made at Jackson State. She may be in that cut where, you look at the schools that's paying 5 and 6 for their women's coach. Those are a little bit higher in the atmosphere. Does she want to do that? What she's making now is more than any men's coach. I think Johnny Jones, maybe with incentives is getting that, but at his base, I don't know if his base is 3. I don't know, maybe Dr. Seville, because others can chime in on that. But if that's what she's making, she's got it really good. But I agree with Wheeler Brown. You can only stay at 50,000 feet above the atmosphere for so long. It takes an injury. It takes the transfer portal not being, not getting the talent. It can have added. It takes a lot to stay up there with that salary. And now she's got a lot to work with, and she's got a lot of buffer. But clearly, staying up there all the time is tough. Winning is hard. And people expect them to win the SWAC. When they lose a couple of games of regular season, everybody goes crazy because you don't expect it. And so I agree with all sides on this. She's got it made at Jackson State financially. Does she want to take that plunge and go to the next step? And can she keep it at a high enough level at Jackson State? That's the pressure that you're under.
But you know what? Again, if somebody just tuning in, give her flowers now.
Yeah.
Much respect to Coach Reed. And guess what? I'm in the classroom. You can identify right away. Hope this analogy gets home. You can identify the good students, the A students right away. But isn't it a challenge? Just like, okay, you just said she's going to be losing a lot of seniors, but you're a good coach. Coach Pettaway, that's the challenge for next year.
Right.
And I'm telling you, I think Mr. Carey said, you heard it here first. They're going to repeat next year. But she is an outstanding coach. She knows what she's doing. And I find it hard to bet against her. She has been very consistent. But Coach Pettaway, isn't that a challenge?
Yes, it
When
is.
you win and you won, and then now people are going to say, well, you're losing a lot. Let's see what she does now. That's a challenge that I think she accepts and looks forward to.
I agree. I think she accepts that, and I think she will do well. She is a great coach, and it's obvious that staff can recruit. So they're not giving up on. I mean, they're not looking past this year. They want to finish up well in this tournament. They're gonna hit the ground running with recruiting, and they're gonna try to repeat again in the SWAC. Watch what I tell you.
And it'll be, to me, much more rewarding as I wrap it up. You have a student that's a C student, a D student, but at the end of the semester, they are a B student. To me, that is much more rewarding than a student you identified right away that you know that they're going to get it done in the classroom. That, to me, is the essence of great coaching. Now, as I turn to Coach Johnson, that's coming up, I think he did a great job. First season, 18 wins? Grambling State, Coach Simmons, women coach.
Yep.
First year.
They're still
One of the
playing.
tops in the country, right, and still playing. Let's give them their credit. I mean, we can look and analyze different things. Willa, you're a hardline. I still say that. You're tough, but
you gotta look at things in the total picture, Carlos. There's no doubt about that.
I've been accused
the
of being a hardliner too.
The HBCU lifers, like we are, obviously that's what we are. The four of us here right now. We're going the way of the Volkswagen or what have you. Few and far between.
Speak for yourself, Willa.
Few and far between. So I mean, this young group now. They're looking to hit it and quit it. They're looking to get it quick and move on to the next challenge, the higher calling, that sort of thing. The ones like us who got in it because this is where our heart is, this is what we're about, that sort of thing. We're a dying breed. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about that. So ADs now got to deal with this entirely new picture now, where you're dealing with coaches now coming in. They're looking to use you as a stepping stone. They're looking to, bounce to the next challenge as quickly as possible, especially when they come in and see all the guarantee games they got to play. And, I got to bust 9 hours for a game, even though you knew that before you took the job. It's something totally different when you're sitting on that bus now and your butt trying to get used to that seat and it's bouncing up and down I-55 or what have you, that sort of thing. And you'd be like, well, I didn't think it was going to be like this. I thought it'd be a little bit more comfortable, but so I mean, we're a dying breed, Carlos. So we have to be prepared for any eventuality because we know now, that these young folk now, they're hitting it and trying to move on as quickly as possible. They're using us as stepping stones, and we got to have the next lightning in a bottle right there, ready to move in and keep it moving forward.
Can I ask you a quick question, Wheeler Brown, from an AD perspective, from an administrative perspective? All right, so we know Grambling season is over. We know Jackson State season is still continuing. They're playing UConn. But these other tournaments, the WNIT, the CNET tournaments, we've seen teams turn down the NIT. We've seen teams in our conference turn down some of these other tournaments, and Coach Pettaway could attest to this because he's a part of these committees. What are your thoughts on these secondary postseason tournaments? I understand we got a bid to go, and we turned it down. Some other teams have turned it down. Texas Southern took it. Alabama A&M still playing. What are your thoughts from an administrative standpoint about keeping the band together, playing these other type of tournaments? I don't know what the financials are. Coach Pettaway can talk about that with his expenses, but just to promote your university, to promote your program, what are your thoughts on that?
And you said some key things right there, Charles. From an administrative point of view, I mean, you have to look at the costs. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about that. Where are we from a budgetary point of view, that sort of thing. A lot of these ancillary tournaments, they're costing. So I mean, while you want to continue to reward the kids, that sort of thing, and try to find a way for them to continue to play, you also have to look at the entire budget, and see, am I shorting softball? Am I going to have to take some money from baseball so, the women's basketball team can play in the CIT or the CBA or what have you? So, I mean, I got to sit down with my coach. We got to look at the benefits, that sort of thing. Granted, for a lot of coaches, it gives them an extended amount of practice time, so they're still able to get out there and stay on the court with their kids. And, that's special, especially if you got a lot of good kids coming back, or you got kids that may be thinking about jumping in the transfer portal, that sort of thing. So, like I said, my first inkling, Charles, to be honest with you, I got to look at the costs. There's no doubt about that. Secondly, I got to, be on the same wavelength with the coach in terms of, is it worth us spending that money in order to make this happen? So we have to research these different entities in terms of who's sponsoring this tournament, see if they're helping out financially in any way, shape, or form. If it's something where I got to carry the entire cost, I got to think about that. I got to think about that long and hard. If it means I got to go to alums or maybe go to the president's office or the VP for finance and, tell them, our kids did a really good job this year, got an opportunity to continue playing elsewhere. We're going to be a little short dollars and cents wise. Can you guys help us out? I mean, so, if that's the case, then fine. But I'm reluctant, Charles, to take away from the other sports in order to try to make this happen.
Yeah, but on now, if you want to bring it up, I'll tell you, for the CIT, we pay the expenses. We pay the expenses. Now on the CBI, which Bethune-Cookman went to, that now you had to pay to enter that tournament. And I think they're gonna get some on the back end, but for us, we paid the expenses up front for some of the teams that had to travel. The other teams that did not get theirs up front, if they put it up, they will get reimbursed for it. That's what the CIT has always done.
Well,
Carlos, Carlos, I've been a part of that for years.
Right.
And this was now, and now in defense to these coaches, let me tell you what happened this year. When the NC2A moved the season up, that messed everything up. That threw more schools into spring break week. So Carlos, when these teams, when they lost in the SWAC and got back home, what do you think them kids did? They jetted. They went, man. They left school. They went home. So by the time we call them and say, we'd like to invite you to participate in the CIT, their teams aren't on campus. The kids have already left to go home. So they can't bring them back. So I think that's why we had
I think in 2016, or it might have been 15, we had just finished the SWAC tournament, men's wise. And I think we had been runners up or something like that. And I'm thinking the CIT or one of these entities had offered a slot for our men's team. But we didn't have the money at that particular time. So I'm making phone calls and frantic and all that sort of thing. I wound up holding the team in Houston for another night so that I could, firm up where the dollars were going to come from, and the next day, the president called me and said that, they found the money somewhere in order for us to participate, because I think we were supposed to play it at Lamar or somewhere, that following night or something like that. It wasn't far from Houston,
Right.
but it was something that we hadn't budgeted for. Everybody on campus was up in arms because now you're spending money you hadn't budgeted for, that sort of thing. But it's something that, we wanted to do for the kids. They fought long and hard. I'm thinking we might have lost to Southern that year. I'm not sure. But, so it's just things like that forces you to be creative. I didn't know where the dollars were going to come from in order to pay for that night's rooms, for the team to stay in Houston another night, because we were ready to leave right after the game. So I had to wind up putting it on my charge card, which I still don't think I got reimbursed for, but that's neither here and there. But, that's part for the course.
But guess what? I'm going to be facetious here. All of those guarantee games, 10 to 12 a year, and now you got to scratch for some money. Shame on you. It's about the student athletes.
Get him, Carlos.
Right. It's about the student athletes and all those guarantee games.
Get him, Carlos.
On that note, we got to take a time out. Coach Johnson is waiting patiently.
You called me hard, Carlos. You the hard one.
Well, if we got to bring $800,000 into the program, we can't find some money to participate in these extra tournaments that we were awarded for, and we say it's all about the student athletes experience. Hypocrisy.
God bless you, Carlos. God bless you, Carlos.
We'll take a timeout. You're watching the Carlos Brown Show right here on the Black College Sports Network.
If you think all pads are exactly the same, think again. This is Always Ultra Thins reinvented with the Always Triple Protection System. This pad wicks gushes 90% faster, absorbs even more so you can feel dry, and locks odors in. Rethink your pad for up to 100% leak-free and odor-free comfort with the totally reinvented Always Ultra Thins. This is always like never before.
The Cuvée Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cuvée.
As technology continues to bring changes to the world of education, it's time we also reimagine teacher professional development. Gone are the days of one-size-fits-all learning that can only be accessed at a specific time and place. The Stride PD Center is an on-demand library of mobile-friendly courses that allow educators to learn anytime and anywhere. Our dynamic courses provide bite-sized learning and help educators advance their knowledge while also gaining professional development hours. The best professional development plans are those that include a level of flexibility and choice for educators. Whether you're a teacher, school, or district, visit us today to take charge of your learning.
Welcome back to this week's edition of the Coles Brown Show right here on the Black College Sports Network. Charles, hopefully one day Alcorn will get a chance to play LSU in that setting, so you can just get your. Wait a minute, Charles. You're happy when everybody else plays there. You wouldn't be happy if Alcorn played there.
I'll take USF and Mississippi State. That's what we got coming up. I'll take that.
Let me move on. Our special guest, Coach Kevin Johnson. Coach Johnson, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, guys. It's good to be here again. I told Charles in Birmingham I thought y'all had gotten rid of y'all buddies. So
no. Welcome to have our special guest, Coach Johnson, after, in my humble opinion, an outstanding season.
Yeah.
First year for Coach Johnson, and I just want to say that publicly. You know, I always send you a text, keep grinding, you and the staff, and you're a finalist for an award as well. So we just want to have you on the show again to talk about your first season, your recap. What's your thoughts, Coach Johnson?
Before we do that, though, Carlos, if you don't mind, man, I just want to commend, Coach Dante Jackson and Grambling for a heck of a year. And,
yes, sir.
You know, winning the regular season, winning the tournament, and making us proud in the NCAA tournament is also. But you know, I think it just sets the tone for another outstanding SWAC basketball season. So, congratulations to him, first of all.
Well said. Well said. I agree. We're going to talk a few different topics, but of course, we'll start off with this season for Southern University. Your overall thoughts.
You know what? Coming into the season, I thought it was imperative that we put a team on the floor that would be competitive, and I'll be honest with you, I think we did better than that.
Yeah.
We finished the non-conference 6-7, which is unheard of for teams in our league, and got into conference play, and was a tremendous education for me. Coach Banks had done all he can by word of mouth to try to prepare me for what we were about to go through, but it's one of those things that you just have to go through. But a extremely competitive conference season. I mean, all the way into the last weekend and to the last game, the seeding for the tournament wasn't even decided. So I think a tremendous run. I think there's probably a couple of games that I feel like we left on the table in league play, but to come in this year and finish 12-6 and tied for third, and really not have an experienced team, that's one of the things I loved about Grambling's team. I thought they were the most experienced team in the league. And, if you get to that point, that's what you should do. You should win it. So, but I'm proud of the guys that we had, 5 seniors and bringing in 11 newcomers to try to mesh with them. And, I like what we accomplished, but it's back to the grind. We got to add some more pieces and get ready for another run.
Right. And Coach Johnson, I know you just congratulated Coach Jackson, and that's fine. But I want to congratulate you because, I've been around the SWAC a long time. And for you to come in your first year and do what you did, I think that speaks volume. And I think the biggest thing that got me, Coach, is that you are a man of principles. When I found out that one of your kids was in trouble and it was your leading scorer, you didn't hesitate. You showed your team that it's about the team and not one individual.
Right.
And I want to applaud you for that because, Coach, as well as I know, there are plenty of coaches that would have turned their head. They would have turned their head and kept that kid as part of that program, and you didn't do that. And I think that sets the basis for you establishing your culture. And I just want to commend you on that. I want to commend you on the season that you just had.
Coach, I appreciate you. You know how much respect I have, for you. And I appreciate you saying that. But, my thoughts are the following. I think you have to be able to coach your best player. And if you can't coach your best player, you can't coach your team.
Right.
And that's why we got to that point. I appreciate you for saying that, but I got tons of calls. There's a lot of people, why don't you bring him back? Why don't you bring him back? It's about the hands, but it is about the hands, but that's not the whole picture.
Right.
These young men, one day going to have a job. And,
yes,
they're going to be held to a certain standard, and I want them to be able to function and succeed.
Right.
Amen.
Right.
Amen.
Yes, sir. I agree with you 100%, Coach.
Yeah, and Coach Johnson, same thing. In message groups and different communication perspectives, those will answer. My thing is, it's we, not I, in a team, and you moved on.
Absolutely.
And you've got to coach the players that are still there, and you did that. So from my standpoint, I would have done this very same thing because you're looking long term.
Absolutely.
And I've told people the best is yet to come.
Yep,
but
I believe that.
in the society, it's a quick fix now, and you got to have success quickly. But old school is still good. The foundation, it's got to be there. And so you did you did the right thing.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Now, with that being said, I just said I told everybody the best is yet to come. For as recruiting and needs going into next season, I've seen some of the offers. Is there a certain type of player that you're looking for to fit that foundation and that culture?
Well, we have a basic profile, Carlos. One thing I have to have for me to, I gotta have tough kids. I want some young men with character. But I think when you start looking at basketball skill wise, I think the one thing we were lacking this year in league play is guys who could put it on the floor and go get their own basket. So through this recruiting process, we are 100% in pursuit of guys who can, and if there's any listening, call me. But guys who can put that ball on the floor and get to the rim and finish, and it can finish in traffic, and then always there's a value on shooting.
Yeah.
Well, I know, Charles, rebounding. I know you discussed about sometimes the little things, free throw shooting. That is something that you hopefully the team will improve on, because sometimes those little things can cost you a few games.
And look, those are great points. Free throw shooting and rebounding, those are the basic fundamentals of the game. I do like that our team got better rebounding the ball, and we had two freshmen this year that were starting to figure things out. Brente Noel had a double-figure rebounding game at Alabama State, and and DeLang Moon showed some flashes this year. I know we're going to continue to get better, rebounding the ball, but I'll be honest with you guys, I was not happy with our free throw shooting this year. And my goal is I want a team to be able to shoot 75% from the line, and we didn't meet that mark. And we worked on it, we practiced on it. Coach Pett, we ran all the lines, we ran all the stadiums, but I want a group that really, really has a desire to be an elite free throw shooting team. And what that's going to require is not just practice time. You're going to have to come in on your own and spend time shooting free throws. Make yourself a good free throw shooter.
Right. That's what it takes. That's what it takes.
And Coach, to address, sometimes we say athletic bigs, post, length to get taller. Is that something that maybe we're putting too much emphasis on? Because rebounding it's more of a team rebounding. But are you looking to get length and more athletic in the post?
That's a matter of philosophy. Again, I love our two young bigs and how they're developing. I am going to add one more experienced big through recruiting, whether it's through the junior college ranks or the transfer portal. But I want to keep growing those young guys up, and we will add another big. But I'm like you, Carlos. I believe rebounding is a team thing, and the teams that I've been around that have been the best have been teams that gang rebound. and guards who rebound, boy, that's a premium for me. I know Coach Pett had some back there. I love guards who can rebound that ball.
Obi Trotter is one that comes to mind. And then and Coach Johnson, some of the questions I get is they ask Coach Johnson, from what I can see, he loves the big guards like Demasi. I think that's something you'll continue to see with growth.
You know what? I like guards who have a skill level. I like guards who are tough, and and Tejan Demasi had a heck of a year for us. He was hurt the last month of the season. He actually played the last month with a dislocated thumb, and boy, it was difficult for him to handle the ball. It was difficult for him to shoot the ball, but we had to get to the finish line. But one of the things, it's funny you brought him up. I challenged him yesterday. He's one of those kids. He's always in the coach's office. I love that. But I challenged him yesterday. I brought out the stats from, Elfrid Payton's last season. And I brought out his stats from this season. And, I coached and recruited Elfrid at Lafayette. And I had him going through Elfrid's numbers. And he was shaking his head. He said, I'm not even close here. And then the two stats that really stuck out was Elfrid shot 300 free throws and grabbed over 220 rebounds. And I said, look, if you get those kind of numbers from the point guard position for us, guess what? We won a championship. And so I just want to kind of keep, working and get. Coach Pett knows you got to do a lot of mind work with the guys.
Challenging,
Absolutely.
We've been through no, go ahead, Charles.
Well, Coach, I just got a couple of questions for you. First of all, congratulations on the year that you had. Got a chance to meet you for the first time at the shoot around at the SWAC tournament. The one, when you talk about Demasi, he sticks out of my mind. He hit the big three against Alcorn.
Right.
That was huge. That was one of your bigger wins.
Sure.
Just in watching you on the sideline, your demeanor pretty calm from what I saw, and don't get rattled. And look, we had your team against the ropes, and your team kept battling and battling. Is that just kind of your demeanor as a coach, watching you on the sideline, not to get rattled because you don't want your team to become unrattled and unhinged?
Well, Charles, it wasn't always that way, but the longer you're in this business, you grow and you develop and you get into a comfort zone. In a perfect world, I am a high energy guy in practice. I am bouncing off the walls because that's how I played. But on game nights, I just want to be a cheerleader for those guys. But sometimes when things go wrong, you have to get a little excited to try to get them turned around. But on game nights, I just want to be a cheerleader because the work should be done at that time.
Somebody else, Charles, told me, Coach Pugh one time, I said, Coach Pugh, you're so calm on the sideline. She said, well, if you come to the practices, that's where a lot of the loud vocals happen. And so when game day comes, I want to come across as confident, quiet, and calmness. And my team kind of reflects that. So, if you're fly on the wall, if you can get into those practices, I think that's where a lot of the teachers, to your point, Coach Johnson, when game day comes, that's it.
Right.
You've done most of the teaching and preparation during practice.
That's right.
Outlook for next season. I know you have goals and objectives, but a simple look now for 2024, 2025. What's the outlook for your team?
Well, we want to upgrade. Obviously, we want to do better than we did this year, and I think we have to first of all add a few pieces through recruiting. That's what we're working really hard on now. This summer, we're hopefully set to go on a foreign trip to go to Bahamas for 5 days and play 3 games against the Bahamian national team. And that's really important for us. And I'm so glad that AD Banks is making this happen for us, because the teams that I've been around that were able to go on a foreign trip and have that time of extra practice, to have that time to bond, they usually have a special year. So I'm really excited about that part of it. And then I want to really look back and evaluate. I really felt like we had a great conditioning leading into the season. I really liked the way we were playing in January, and then about halfway through February,
We may have
He was about to get
Coach
into
Johnson.
Carlos. He was about to reflect your. Okay, there you go.
Oh, there you go. Go ahead, Coach Johnson.
So you, Coach, the last thing you said was about you liked the way you were playing in January, and then in February, what happened in February, Coach?
About halfway through February, I could see a little fatigue setting in, and when those games become such a grind, you kind of tighten that rotation. And, and if you look at the last month of the season, Demasi was playing 35 minutes. Derek Tisno was playing 33 minutes. Brandon Davis was playing 33 minutes. And I think that's too much down the stretch. Boy, I would like to have my top guy maxing out next year around 27, 28 minutes. And, for the way I want to play. And and Coach Pett, that we were high octane and really getting after people and getting up and down the floor, and we didn't have that kind of juice to do that down the stretch, and I think that affected us. So that's something we gotta look at, we gotta analyze, and we want to play our best ball, down that stretch.
Right. That's so true, Coach, and that's where that depth comes in. So on the recruiting trail, that's why you got to get deeper, and that's what recruiting's all about. But I know you get it done, though, Coach. I know you get it done.
I mean, just my perspective, because you all were in the championship hunt. You had a couple of cracks at Grambling, had leads there, and you really had a chance to maybe overtake the regular season. Do you think those minutes could be because you were playing at such a high level and you were in the hunt that you had to keep that grind going on those guys?
That's a great point. I agree with that. And also it's about what Coach Pett said. We had, 4 seniors back from last year's team. And I knew those guys needed to have good years, in terms of bolstering up the strength part of our roster, to help us get to a championship. And Jerion Wilkins helped us win a couple of games. Jalen Reynolds was really bothered. He played all year with a torn meniscus, so he was limited in terms of minutes. And then, Drayshawn Allen helped us win a couple of games, making a few shots. And, but I wish I could have had more from those guys, including, Jerron Wilkins, who was, he was a junior college All-American. I needed a little bit more production from those guys to get that championship. But you know what? It is what it is. I'm proud of the things we accomplish. And, even looking at, a team like Grambling, who, by far to me, they were the best team in the league. They had depth, they had rebounding, they had defense, they had scoring. And the reason we couldn't get past them is because of their resilience and their experience. You look at that first game, we played them up there in Grambling. We knocked them out. We knocked them down, gave them a good punch in the first half. Come back, and they come to Southern. We slugged them again, and they're down 14 at half. But boy, those guys never quit. They made the plays they needed to, and that's what veteran teams are, supposed to do. So we feel like we got to, like Coach Pett said, we got to add some depth. You got to have some depth to get to that finish line.
And Coach, I was often asked about, and one guy in particular, he had got a chance to see a practice. He said and I can see, and I don't know their names, but I can see a couple of guys on the bench. They were dressed out, and one guy told me they can flat out play. Can you talk about those players, or do you rather not? But building depth, it sounds like, as well. And conditioning for next season.
And again, everything, there's a lot of things that happen that goes into a season. And, we had a guy in Jordan Johnson who through the non-conference was in the top 10 in the nation in three-point shooting. And, he was shooting 47% from the three. He gets hurt right at the very beginning of conference and kind of never regained rhythm. And, even in that last game against Bethune in the tournament, I think he went 2 for 10 or 3 for 10 or something like that. That kid's an outstanding shooter. And but he never really got his rhythm back after the injury. But those are some baskets that that we needed. But I'm excited. I'm really looking forward to adding to this roster. And I some of those guys wish the season started tomorrow. I don't want it to be that close, but
we're visiting with Coach Kevin Johnson, head men's basketball coach at Southern University. Coach, schedules. I know last time we talked to you, one of the times we talked to you, you said the schedule was in place for you. So now looking forward, I'm hoping that you'll have some input in your schedule, non-conference, and that's always been a hot topic here. Quadrant 1, quadrant 2, balance. You watch it, Willa. You watch it. Balance in the schedule. I think for the long term, I think that helps, because we know if you're going to play 10 games against the quad 1 teams in non-conference play, we kind of know the toll that takes.
Sure.
Will you see some balance in Southern University's future schedule?
Well, I think there'll be some balance, and there'll be a great chance for balance if I could get you to come to the next scheduling meeting with me and AD Banks.
Say no more, Coach Johnson. I'll be glad to do it.
Yeah, if we tag team and go 2-on-1, I think we're gonna come out of there with tremendous balance.
But Coach Johnson, Coach Banks was on before, and he, in theory, liked the balance, but he was honest enough to say they were not at that point as of yet. Now, I think that was a year ago, so I think it's more time to ask him again.
I'm gonna let you know when that meeting is, and we talked the other day because we're actively working, on next year's schedule. I think we have 4 games locked in. I'm not sure if we have the contracts on, but in principle locked in. But part of what's affecting that non-conference schedule is the league, and the league is going to cut back on league games next year. That's going to change.
Well, wait a minute! Breaking news: league games, Coach Johnson.
So one of the things that concern me, if that happens, then we're going to have to play more non-conference games. So we'll see.
No!
I see Carlos banging his head there.
Let me ask you something. I know the league is also talking about changing their schedule.
Right.
With the women playing on Thursday and
double
headers on Saturday, men play. How do you how does that scenario sound to you?
You know what? I've done it both ways. The thing about having the women play first, it's so much uncertainty on your start time, your warm-up time, your preparation.
Right.
Because you don't know, especially if that women's game goes into overtime, you could be backed up 30 minutes. And so, you just never know. I think with only having the single games on one night, I think you can really set your schedule. And that was an adjustment for me this year to try to get used to that game day routine. And you just can't do it when there's a game, beforehand.
Right.
Well,
it'll make the Monday games more precise because they can start on time because there is no game in front of it.
That's right.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. Southern men, they were near the top average attendance. Women, I think they were near the top.
Mm-hmm.
So it's something, I guess, to build on. I think when this came out, we just said, Coach Johnson, it'll just be an adjustment for everybody,
of course,
involved, and that's kind of the way we looked at it.
Right.
Adjustments being made.
Right. And I in the discussions, I've had with AD Banks, he was like, those Monday nights, we're gonna have to do a better job with promotions and making sure that we get our folks in the building because it's gonna be early. Game's gonna be at 6 or 6:30. So it's gonna be a change. But one thing I do know, if you're on the road, at least you got a chance to get back a little sooner.
Yeah.
Yeah, that point was brought up, I believe, by Charles Edmond there, who travels as a broadcaster. And, times, I know coaches just want to think about the X's and O's of preparation. We talked about the times. We also talked about from a geographical standpoint. If you're in Houston and that Monday, your fans work a 9 to 5 job. X factor, traffic, a much bigger city. Baton Rouge, a mid-sized city, but a place with a smaller population, it may be a different effect.
You're right, and if that game's in Houston, doesn't bother me near as much.
Coach Johnson, I could tell you the story. Traveling to Houston many times. I turn the wheel over once you get inside the city. that traffic and all that. Nah, you as a coach, you're concentrating on the X's and O's, having your team prepared, and all of those extra things outside.
Right.
Hopefully, they don't affect you as much. Thoughts on March Madness, mid-majors, upsets, Coach Johnson. Brackets, tear them up if you do participate in that. But for one thing, it's also a great thing to see, quote unquote, the prognosticators say this team is not going to do well. Mid-majors, the smaller schools, and lo and behold, we see it year in, year out. Upsets. Parity, Coach Johnson?
I do believe so. I agree, and and here's one of the things that with the recruiting rules and transfer rules and the portal, you have an opportunity as a mid-major to get older and get older quickly. And everybody's bashing Kentucky and Calipari for recruiting all those. They recruit all these one and dones, and then they get in the tournament and they're one and done. And it's just hard. If I got 5 22-year-olds playing against 5 19-year-olds, those 19-year-olds might be more talented. But when it comes to those toughness plays, when it comes to the execution, and like the experience Grambling had some older guys, and it paid off for them. When things got tough, they were able to be successful. So I think you're going to see. I think we've already begun to see some of the higher majors being more active in the portal, and I think that's going to continue.
Yeah, Coach, over 500 players, Coach Johnson, over 500 players in the first 4 days as of yesterday have hit the portal. And so I talked to our girls coach. I had a show the other day. With the turnover in rosters and with the transfer portal, you have to kind of re-recruit your kids every year. Is that where we are? Is that where you are as a coach, where you got to sell this thing every single year, knowing that kids are going to leave, and then you got to look in the portal and all that? Is that kind of where we are now?
It makes building extremely difficult, and it's just really changed the landscape. But you also have to do your homework with the evaluations. I mean, just because a kid is in the portal and he's been at a Division I, he may not be best for your program. And so I know we're going to keep all options on the table in terms of recruiting. We have had kids from junior college on campus. We have had high school kids, prep school kids, and we're just going to be involved in every recruiting pool because I don't think it's an exact science. I think it's more about fit. And I know for us to take this jump at Southern, we need some high character guys who are going to play with some toughness. And I'd like to add a couple more guys who can create their own shot.
Right.
Well said, Coach, because it just seems you live and die. I hate to put it that way with the transfer portal, but I'm old school in a way too. That building a program, get a freshman in, and then when he's a senior, he's gotten his degree in hand, and he's become a better player. But I understand now. It's so easy to go into the portal and have to win early.
Don't get me wrong, Carlos. What you just said, that still works. But here's the issue.
I'm glad it does work, Coach Johnson.
It
I
still
have
works.
faith left.
It still works. But if you go and recruit a talented high school kid, he may not want to invest in the development. I'm sure he's going to want to play now. And then you have the parents. They want him to play now. And then you got the AAU coach and the workout guy. And all these people, like, we know we're good enough to play now. And they don't want to invest in the development. But I can tell you which ones we're looking for. We're looking for some that have to, invest in that development part of it, because it's hard to. You're not going to win in this league with 17, 18-year-old guys. It's not going to happen. So you got to get some development and you got to get some experience.
Balance. That's that word again. Balance.
Right. And so you look at Grambling. Grambling brought off the bench a guy that was first team all conference in this league 2 years in a row. Jalen Johnson. Remember, he played at Alabama A&M. He ends up going to Milwaukee. Then he comes back as a graduate student. He plays for Grambling. And he's coming off the bench. So you got that kind of experience and size in the paint coming off the bench to make them a very strong contender.
And Coach Pett, to your point, and this is why they're a championship team. When they needed him to play like a first-team all-league player, he did. And when they needed him to play his role, he did that also.
Right.
Accepting the role. Boy, those are good kids. But I understand instant gratification. I subscribe to balance and that foundation. Right. No matter if that foundation is not right, it won't be successful. Just my opinion. Coach Johnson.
Yes, sir.
Who do you think gets into the Final Four when it's all said and done?
Man, I really don't like to speculate. I really don't. There's some really good teams out there, but I got to be honest with you. I root for the upsets, because if we were in it, I would want us to take the big dog down. But I root for the upsets. I was excited, about those games yesterday. Yale beating Auburn, and I love those upsets, man.
Well, I appreciate that. That's what you get from Coach Johnson. He's brutally honest. Yeah. And so, Coach Johnson, one day we'll have to discuss to the pro level. My Miami Heat team. I think we're in trouble this year. So you could probably tell me, let me down easy and help me feel good, because sometimes, Coach Johnson, you feel like, well, it's getting close to the playoffs. You can just turn that switch on, but one day you go to turn the switch on, the light doesn't come on.
You know what? The Heat is one of my favorite organizations, but it's not for the players. It's for who runs the organization, and I think Coach Bolster is one of the best in the business. But what's unfortunate is during our season, we don't get a chance to watch as many NBA games. Yeah. But with playoffs around the corner, we're going to be all over that. But they tell me it's going to be hard to beat Boston in the East this year. So that's just what I hear.
Oh, crown them! I got them champions already. Although the Denver Nuggets might say, "Wait a minute, Mr. Brown." And then you talk about experience. You see Boston, Tatum, Coach Pettaway. He's still a young player, but he's been into conference finals every year. Yeah. Experience, Milwaukee, but praise for the young team, OKC, Minnesota. Yeah. We'll see once the playoff starts, but they have done very well. The youth movement is alive and well in the NBA. Will they get a chance to crown themselves, or at least make it a deep run in the playoffs? Experience versus youth.
Yeah, that remains to be seen. Yeah. But Denver has a lot to say what's going to happen in the West.
That's
Boston,
right.
I think, is a team in the East, and we'll see. We'll see.
Because Big Noak for Denver, not the most gifted player physically, But boy, the prognosticator said best in the league along with Embiid. And these are guys, not American bred. Fundamentals again, being able to make your teammates better.
Yeah.
Those are good qualities. It's still refreshing.
Yeah, yeah. The Joker's a beast now. You can't ever
Oh,
rule
yeah.
him out. At 7 feet and his size, and he's not the fastest guy in the world. To get done what he gets done on a day in day out basis, man, it's almost like a small miracle. But you addressed something there about the European guys and how successful they've been able to be, over here playing the NBA game, and you see more and more of them coming into college. They're just trained a different way, and in basketball over there, they have that club ball. It's not the school system, and there is more of a time investment in the quality of the coaching that they get through development. Those guys come over here ready.
Yep.
Ready. And I think next season will be in the conference, both on the women and the men's side. Very, very competitive. And Coach Johnson, you've already, knew of a had relationship with coaches in the league. Your opinion hasn't changed probably one iota after one season in the conference. Some great coaching going on.
Yeah. If anything, I think the coaches in this league are better than what I even thought coming into it, and also the players, man. Somebody said, what kind of team or what other conference do you compare it to? I was in the Sun Belt for a long time, and shoot, there's 2 or 3 teams in this league that could have been in the top of the Sun Belt. Maybe even more than that. But boy, the coaching is incredible in this league. You have to be prepared every night, and boy, that's a tremendous challenge. And I'll be honest with you, I love that part of it.
Well, hopefully we'll see more interaction between that league you talked about, the Sun Belt, and the Southwestern Athletic Conference, particularly non-conference.
Right.
I think it will help. And again, balance is the key. Coach Johnson, appreciate the time as always. A pleasure to talk with you. Best of luck going forward. The best is yet to come, and in my opinion,
I appreciate
outstanding
you guys.
season.
I appreciate you guys, man. I always look forward to visiting with you. And Charles, I'm glad you got this done for me. you guys have a great weekend. Thanks for having me.
Good luck.
Take care, Coach. Take care.
All right. You too. All right. That was Coach Johnson, spending some time with him. Boy, we're overdue for a break, but I don't like the break when you're having a good conversation with Coach Johnson, talking about the conference as a whole, coaching, players. He was very impressed, and it'll be competitive next year. Everybody wants to get better. We won't take a break because we got about 12 minutes left. In the chat room, they were updating on Jackson State was having a tough time with UConn. That was
it's 34-17 with 4:13 left in the second quarter.
Yeah, thanks, David. David says the game is getting away from Jackson's State. Alabama A&M coach Pettaway on the women's side, Coach Richardson, stepping down. FAMU, Coach McCollum. FAMU now A&M going to have national searches to fill in those positions. Wait a minute, Willa. What are you laughing at, Willa? Because I said a national search. You know what, Willa? We're going to go at it here. We're going to go at it.
It's just that now, I mean, how much are they going to pay a consulting firm to get the same names that they would already have? If people had already done their homework, that sort of thing. Right. I mean, that's all. Now you're about to pay another $50,000-$60,000.
Why you have to?
That you don't necessarily have, to a consulting firm, Yeah, I mean, it's just, I don't know. When I hear national search, the
Mm-hmm.
first thing that comes to mind is one of these consulting firms, that
No,
sort of thing.
no,
Where, you know,
Well,
we're
wait, wait,
bright
wait, wait,
enough.
well,
We're
wait a minute,
bright enough,
Willa.
Carlos. We are bright enough to do our own homework. You
Yeah,
know,
I
you
agree.
know, we have enough connections out there. We know who's hot and who's not. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, if I'm going to take the blame at the end of the day, Carlos, then I,
Mm-hmm.
as the director of athletics, is going to do everything I can do to be hands-on from start to finish. You know, I
Oh,
mean,
I
I
can
may
believe
look
that.
at if a
When you
consultant
say
firm
it, I
gives me
believe
some
it.
names, you know, I may check them
Mm-hmm.
out, that sort of thing. But you know, you better believe I'm going to try my best to do my homework ahead of time. You know, to have that list already ready. You know, so I have something to compare to in terms of
Mm-hmm.
what it is that I'm looking for. That's
right.
Well,
all.
well, I
Hey,
have
hey,
to say national search because that's what the press release will say. But let me tell you, I'm not a fool. I know they say that like in a state institution, you can advertise it in nationwide. But we've seen Coach Pettaway. I can speak for right here in this city.
but look,
They
you can do a national search without that search firm. You don't have to hire outside people to do a national search because I
true.
think AD Bryant, when he mentioned that we're going to do a national search, he didn't say anything about hiring a firm. Now he's going to do it on his own.
Well, you know, but he's one of those Coach Pettaway that has been around a long time. First off, you know, he's got a lot of connections out there.
Right.
He's somebody that's very thorough, that you're not going to have to have those questions in terms of people wondering, how did you come up with this name, that sort of thing. So your reputation speaks for you, you know, and when somebody like Coach Bryant, I mean, like AD Bryant, you know, speaks on things like that, you know, going in, he got a short list already.
Yeah.
You know he's ready to roll. You know, it's just a matter of him getting ready to put those candidates out there that he believes going to be the best fit and be able to sell you guys, in terms of your alums and your administrators, that sort of thing, on the people that he's
Mm-hmm.
already done his homework on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Let me say this, Carlos, about Coach Richards.
mm-hmm.
And this is just my opinion of being around her. She was a class act.
She
She was
was.
a class act at Alabama A&M. And to me, again, this thing about leadership, when your back's against the wall, how you come through. In the COVID year, I believe, Coach Pettaway, she only had 7 players that year.
Mm-hmm.
She only had 7 players. And her team was, I think, right in the middle of the regular season title with only 7 players. I think they ran out of gas at the end. And then she had probably one of the more aggressive and dominant big girls, Doriana Lewis.
Right.
Just think if Doriana Lewis transferred to Syracuse. If she stayed at A&M, and the rumor, the street committee says that she had to win a game in the tournament in order to continue. She didn't. But if Doriana Lewis had stayed, and if they had a deeper run in the tournament the time that she was there, Coach Richards still might be there. She might have been in contention to win a tournament title. So, but out of all that, you didn't hear a lot about her. She grinded, she busted her butt to get the best team out there, and it's just unfortunate that she just couldn't get over that tournament hump, especially with a new AD who's looking to do some things. And I'm gonna throw a flyer out there. When you got a new arena, it's almost like a program restart. If you got a coach who's been struggling and you move into a new arena, that coach has got a shorter leash than he had before, because a new arena means a fresh start.
Right.
Kind of in a way. I mean, it may sound crazy, but that's kind of the unfortunate reality of all sports, including the pros, the NFL, and all that. So it's just unfortunate that she had to be let go, but I thought she was a class act.
Well, wait a minute. Let's clear up something. I thought she stepped down.
She
is that being politically correct?
I personally think it's being politically correct.
Okay. She stepped down because she was
6
going
one
to
way, half a dozen the other.
because she was going to be let go. right? She stepped down, but she literally is going to be let go because of
the fact that she didn't go deeper in the tournament.
But wait a minute. But the total body of her work over her period of time.
Well, I mean, the total to me, this is just my opinion, and Coach Pettaway could probably speak more to it. She was okay in the regular season, but when it got to the tournament, she was one and done.
Right.
And I think a new person coming in seeing that says, okay, we got to get to the next step. What's the next step? Which is winning another game in the tournament or winning a game in the tournament. I think if she had done that, then she might have gotten some sort of extension, but it didn't happen. And unfortunately, it hasn't happened. And that's just a fact. If you just look at her record, it's been tough for her to get a deep run in the tournament. So you have that, plus a new AD coming in looking to elevate. And so in a new arena, you throw all that in the bag, and it's just unfortunate that that happened. But it does happen. It does happen more often than we think. And it's just unfortunate for Coach Richards because, again, she represented Alabama A&M class personified. Yeah. Very short bench, very short roster, injuries. But a new person is not going to think about that. A new AD is not going to think about the COVID year, what they went through. We're talking about it. And I'm sure AD Bryant looked at it a little bit, but he's looking to make a spark, or any AD is looking to have a spark right now. And unfortunately, that didn't happen.
And you got a pretty solid team if they can keep it together. I think I heard him say that he's going to have a new coach in place. I want to say by the Final Four or something like that. So that means that they're moving ahead, and might be like A.D. Brown said, he might already have a short list. I'm not sure. I have not talked to him about this, but all I can go by is what the interview I saw on television with him saying that he was going to have somebody in place soon, because they do have a pretty decent roster coming back now. You got Mara Simmons, who made all conference. You got the Turner, who was freshman of the year on the women's side. And Lord have mercy, if Wilson comes back, she was the top rebounder in the SWAC last year. So they got some pieces. Whoever comes in here just got to hit the ground running in terms of recruiting.
Well, we wish her the best. I heard she's also getting married. So,
right.
Hey, keep your head up. FAMU, as we get ready to close out the show, beautiful arena, brand new, still brand new. They brought in a new women's basketball coach. She did outstanding in year one. Now you hear the little bird. Charles, I'm not going to release what you told me, but a very interesting conversation at the SWAC basketball tournament. All that to say, FAMU. They seem like they got everything in place. What direction you think they're going in? I wonder what their criteria, their benchmark for hiring and timetable a men's basketball coach.
Well, I would know because, they had enough trouble hiring a football coach. So I don't know. I don't know if they're gonna have the same issue with basketball. Will the AD come up with somebody, and then they say, "Well, no, we don't want that person." So I don't know.
I got a name out there, guys, and I told Brian Fulford this the other day. Here's a flyer out of left field. His name is Mike Davis.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Mike Davis. I don't know if Mike Davis is even interested in coming back to the SWAC. But hey, you talk about a guy that's coached at Kentucky and UAB's had success at Texas Southern. I don't know what happened at Detroit. It just didn't work.
I know what happened. Bad. Just bad.
But
and that's what you look at. What have you done for me lately?
I get that.
That will stick out.
I get that.
1 and 28 this year gonna be hard, man. 1 and 28 gonna be hard.
Brian, you would love Mike Davis.
Yeah, and see, Mike Davis is a Midwest guy. He's coached at Kentucky and all that, and I miss that.
Indiana.
In Indiana, so this is a flyer out of way deep left field, but why not Mike Davis? You saw what he did at Texas Southern. Where's FAMU right now in the pecking order? And I didn't realize the last 4 coaches that they've had. It's been a long time since FAMU has won in men's basketball. You're almost at rock bottom. Why not take that? Why not take a shot? Why not swing for the fences? Why not? I mean, I hate to say that, and I know AD Sykes well when she was at Grambling for the short period of time. I talked with her at the tournament, but you might need to go for the fences at some point, and this may be one of those times.
Right, but look, here's the thing. What are the admissions requirements? Because see, one of the things that helped Mike Davis over the years at Texas Southern, they were able to bring kids in and sit them out and that kind of thing. Remember, Mike would have a team sitting. He would have 5 players sitting out and got a full team on the floor.
Right.
So every institution not set up like that. I know at Alabama A&M, none of those kids would have been eligible because we don't accept these. So see, it's going to depend on the admissions requirements at that institution, because he would not be able to bring those kids to Alabama A&M. If you got a D on your transcript and it's in your major, no, it does not count.
No, I can't say this. You're gonna give me in tampering, and in trouble. Go ahead and do it. Okay. How about a coach in the conference? Hey, don't text me again. I'm gonna say it. Landon Bussey. I would talk with him. Hey, and if it's tampering, you charge it to me. Landon Bussey, outstanding coach. Someone inside the conference.
Listen, that he would be the choice. Let me look. If truth be told, I wanted our people to look at Landon Bussey when we had an opening. He is SWAC all day. If FAMU has an open, they should talk to Landon Bussey. I would say that.
That would be a great fit to me. Tough. Oh boy. And listen to him, Charles, in the post game. I love it. Even when they win, they can win by double digits. He's not talking about that. He's talking about what we could do better. Yeah, what we didn't do.
Yep.
That's just Carlos. I mean, Landon Bussey, despite the 9-game winning streak, we were, and using your quote, Carlos, we were as hot as fish grease going into but Landon Bussey said, hold up, swole up, hold up, folks. This ain't gonna get it. If you think we can get through the SWAC tournament playing this way, you got another thing coming. He warned us for 3 weeks. And I know fans love to see the wins and all that, but he's looking inside of all that and saying, if we can't be more consistent and tougher and having to pull these games out of the ashes, which we did, you can't expect that in the tournament. And unfortunately, Alabama A&M caught lightning in a bottle. I think that win over Bama State, I think that win over Southern University helped propel them, and they're still playing right now. They're still playing. So hey, I think Landon Bussey, I think for him, he's done well at Alcorn. 4 years, the COVID year, you take that out. You got regular season title back-to-back and a 2 seed in the 3 years. You take COVID out of it. He's done a hell of a job.
Yeah.
On that note, 3 minutes after 1, I know one coach they better not ask to get permission to talk to. And I'm not even trying to be objective about it. But I'll point out others that you should go to in the conference. But at the end of the day,
but tell them, don't mess with Coach Johnson.
That's right. But at the end of the day, FAMU and Alabama and them have to do what's best for them. And we talk about balance, but we also talk about it has to be a good fit, and you got to do your homework. And don't worry about you got to do it so quickly because it's instant gratification. You look at short term and long term, but you pencil in that long term because that's the program that can sustain itself and have success. We see a guy right there, Coach Pettaway. He did it the right way. When I saw Coach Pettaway for the first time at the FG Clark Activity Center, I was like, this guy is tough. He's mean. But guess what? He won. And I saw him get on players, but then in a timeout, I loved it, animated. But then I saw him a pat on the back, on the shoulder, after a good chewing out, which they deserve. because he wanted the best. A consultant, consult with Coach Pettaway. Consult with Willa Brown, with Charles Edmond. Consultant, yeah, Charles. You've seen a lot. You've seen a lot in this conference. But at the end of the day, well, Chuck Hunt says his family's serious about basketball.
Oh, yeah.
I know they're serious about other sports, and I think they're in the mindset now they want to win in everything.
Yeah.
And so they got to get it right. Quickly, Willa, closing comments, Coach Pettaway and Charles.
Well, I think FAMU does want to get it right. Yeah, but I also think they're not going to break the bank in terms of getting it right. I think, clearly football is the driver, in that department. Everything else is pretty much like second tier type thing. So while they will spend to get a good basketball coach, they're not going to overspend in order to do so. And but everybody enjoy March Madness. It's fun this time of year in terms of being right and wrong, and just seeing how it all shakes up at the end.
Coach Pettaway.
All righty. Well, same thing. It's all about March Madness. I know Alabama A&M and FAM got to find coaches. Good luck in their searches, and I look forward to seeing who they come up with.
Alabama A&M and Norfolk State in basketball today at
3 p.m.
Well, and Grambling State women and ULM coming up.
Yeah.
Oh, that's be interesting. Charles, last say.
And Bethune-Cookman's playing today too now.
I forgot about Bethune-Cookman.
Yeah.
Thank you for that update.
Well, March Madness is here, of course, and I think March Madness is going to be March Madness in the SWAC. If you follow the transfer portal, even amongst teams in this league, you got guys like Ken Evans and Colty Young that are in the portal. We got a couple of kids in the portal that helped us last year. Southern University, I think it's going to be March Madness and SWAC basketball. No shortage of storylines there. And with some teams looking for new coaches, how's that going to impact those programs? So buckle up, folks. This is going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a fun ride with this transfer portal and SWAC basketball.
Yep.
And last but not least, transfer portal. It is what it is. You've opened up Pandora's box. The genie is out of the bottle. You look at Juan Howard at Michigan. He got let go.
Yeah.
Again, what have you done for me lately? You can win. You can win 5, 6, 7 seasons. And you have 1 or 2 losing seasons, you're out. That is just the mindset we're in now. Instant gratification. But I believe in being a little bit of the old school, being a little bit of the new school, and you have to adjust, rejuvenate yourselves in our programs. Keep doing what you're doing. And once again, position coaches, coordinators on our level, let's show them some love. Alums, let's give back. Let's give the resources so our HBCUs can be sustainable and here 1,000 years from now. I want to thank Brian, all of our guests in the chat room discussion. Keep it going. We appreciate you. We'll see you next Saturday at 11 a.m. for another edition of the Carlos Brown Show right here on the Black College Sports Network. Don't forget, hit the like button, notifications, get all of the notifications when all of the programs on the Black College Sports Network come on. Until next time, peace and God bless.